Okay, we're going to call this public hearing to order. And good evening. It's now 6 p.m. and it's Tuesday, December the 2nd, 2025. I will begin with roll call, and I would mention that Councillor Tim Harding will be late due to a medical appointment. And we do have two councillors, Councillor Emily Lutz and Councillor Christina Sappington, who are attending virtually due to the inclement weather. We need we probably should have a motion to excuse Councillor Harding at the public hearing until he gets here, if we could. Moved by Councillor Gates, second by Councillor Allen. All those in favor or against, please vote accordingly.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. So, motion is carried, and I'll note that the Municipal Government Act deems that any council member not in attendance at the public hearing are ineligible to vote on the issues related to the upcoming council meeting. However, in this case, if Councillor Tim Allen arrives late, he will not be able to vote on the part of the public hearing that he has not been in attendance for, but he will be able to vote on any items after the fact of his arrival. So it will be important, Yanni, to keep track at when he arrives. So the only item of business actually at the public hearing is a presentation on the new subdivision bylaw, bylaw 114, and the replacement municipal service systems specification manual. And we have with us tonight two consultants who are joining us virtually, again due to the weather. Paul Deck, planner for Upland Planning and Design Studio, and Evan Teasdale from Design Point Engineering Surveying Solutions. Paul and Evan, the floor is yours. Go ahead, please.
Paul, you're still muted there, sorry.
My apologies for that. Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening. I would like to start by checking if everyone can see this presentation.
Yes.
The presentation is visible. Perfect. Okay. I have the pleasure of guiding you today through the history, all the way to the results of the project of updating the Municipal Subdivision By-law and Service Specification Manual. Both documents are fairly current. Documents are fairly old. The Subdivision By-law dates back to 95, and the Service System Specifications to 97. So they were, very much in need to be reviewed. And let's start this the review of the project by looking at the legal framework of planning in Nova Scotia to see where exactly the subdivision bylaw sits in the system. So all planning in Nova Scotia is regulated under the Municipal Government Act, and then the highest level planning document in the municipality is the Municipal Planning Strategy. The planning strategy provides policy for two bylaws that are mainly concerned with municipal planning. One is the land use bylaw and one is the subdivision bylaw. So the situation in Kings is such that the municipal planning strategy and land use bylaw are still relatively new. They were reviewed in a process in the 2010s, and the process just wrapped at the end of 2019. So we have relatively recent documents here, while the subdivision bylaw is still from 95 and needed to be reviewed, also in order to align with these two documents. Because what's important to highlight here is that there are certain cross connections between these documents. The subdivision bylaw takes reference both from the planning strategy and from the land use bylaw. And so some of the things, it's important to keep that in mind when we talk about public feedback that we received on this project, because some of the things that the public wanted to talk about related to the items that were already handled and as part of the review of the planning strategy and land use bylaw, while the subdivision bylaw is, just doesn't have influence on some of these items. So for example, what is the connection to other documents? Things that are regulated in the land use bylaw, even though they pertain to subdivision, are the lot frontage, minimum lot frontage, and minimum lot area. Those two values are defined for subdivisions within the zoning provisions of the land use bylaw. Also, the municipal planning strategy already defines what kind of zoning allows for what kind of road subdivision, whether public or private roads are allowed, or in some cases neither of them. Those provisions, they already sit in the planning strategy and are anchored. So when this about 2 years ago, this project to review the subdivision bylaw started, it was not the intention to kind of unpack the decisions that were done in the planning strategy, but more so just to bring the subdivision bylaw up to date and in alignment with the planning strategy. So I will walk you quickly through the public engagement efforts that did happen in this project. The majority of it happened in January to March of last year. There were sessions with stakeholders, with surveyors and engineers, with developers, and there was a general public information session that was advertised publicly to residents of the municipality. And also through the project website, it was advertised that any kind of feedback that anyone would have was also acceptable by email. And we got a few submissions through that channel as well. So let's quickly review the feedback that was received as part of this project. So from generally from the public that attended the sessions and sent us feedback, there were mostly a lot of varying opinions about private and public roads, which, as I mentioned, that's technically already part of the planning strategy and not really part of the scope of this project. Nevertheless, it's important since this was one of the main items that came out of public feedback to document that and just to make sure that what we heard is actually reflected. So there was a lot of talk about private roads. Many would see them, would like to see them more widely applied in the municipality because they are considered a cheaper way to create subdivisions. But there is also the other perspective from residents who are concerned about allowing more private roads because that would mean that there could be issues with maintenance standards across the municipality. There were some discussions about right-of-way standards, so that relates a little bit more to the service system specifications that we will hear from engineering about. And yeah, there was just talk that cluster housing development is generally something that the public sees maybe as an alternative in order to avoid some of the subdivision requirements. Specifically from developers, we heard in this targeted group session that, yeah, there's a wide desire among developers to allow for more private roads and more different zones. Again, those are decisions that were made as part of the planning strategy. However, yeah, many developers voiced that they would like the ability to build roads in a cheaper way without the public road standards. There is a desire for cost-sharing agreements with the municipality for introduction of those. Some are asking for flexibility with their interpretation of growth boundaries, which is again something that was defined as part of the planning strategy. And then one point that came up is that there are capacity issues in Hans border that limit the ability to subdivide. So yeah, that's more of an infrastructure issue, but still important to document what we heard in the engagement. Finally, the session with professionals that are specifically involved with, or yeah, most intimately involved with the subdivision process are surveyors and engineers. And here we got a lot of on-topic feedback in that session. Basically, yeah, we heard a lot that just the engineering specifications lack some clarity, that they're not up to today's standards, which is, I guess, unsurprising considering that they're from '97. So yeah, these professional groups are very much looking forward to the clarification of engineering requirements, which will hopefully, through clarification of procedures, also help with reducing approval timelines. And also this group voiced some opinions about allowing private roads more widely. But again, that's not something we were able to consider as part of this project. So let's have a look at an overview of the new subdivision bylaw that is being introduced today for, and yeah, will be for consideration for second reading later on. So first of all, the structure of the document is, yeah, much more structured, much more concise. If you're familiar with the current subdivision bylaw document, you will see that there is a much more clear order right now. There's a part 1 that just covers the general administration of the document and kind of the legal references. Part 2 looks specifically at lot requirements, road development, and public open space dedication, while part 3 is mostly concerned with procedure. So for instance, if you're a developer and you want to mostly you're interested in what kind of lot requirements there are or road requirements for subdivision design, you can basically only look at part 2. Or if you're a surveyor and you want to know exactly the process requirements for submission, it would be mostly part 3. So the structure has become a bit more intuitive and it's more clear where to find what. In terms of actual changes to the contents of the bylaw, there is not a whole lot. You will see a bit more changes in the presentation about the municipal service system specification. But as far as the bylaw is concerned, mostly what we saw was a need of bringing the document up to date, removing outdated references. There was still some references to the Planning Act that didn't exist since '95 anymore in Nova Scotia. Some zoning, still referring to the old planning strategy. So we cleaned all of that up, made sure that the wording of the document is in line with current requirements. Yeah, and clarified just some of the wording for procedures. This subdivision bylaw also widened the powers of the municipal engineer in relationship to the acceptance of roads. So I believe this is something that will be a welcome addition, or it will be well received by the professional community because it means that there is some more flexibility on the municipal engineer's side with regard to acceptance of roads. And on the side of public land dedication in coordination with staff, we tightened up some of the rules because we heard from municipal staff that there are some loopholes that can be taken advantage of with regard to public land dedication. So we clarified that. In terms of road creation, that part of the subdivision bylaw, there are a few changes with regard to the performance bond, which increases from 120 to 150% and has now a required duration of 24 months. So that's the bond that developers need to post as a security for road development. Just clarified also that the municipal engineer may seek for clarifications to the cost estimate. The municipal planning strategy allowed that all in the growth center and in the country residential zone, public roads can be created. And and are required if subdivision on new road is happening. So the subdivision bylaw was brought up to date to be in line with the planning strategy on those requirements. And there was a second access requirement added for cul-de-sacs beyond 230 meters in length. On lot requirements, there were just a couple of changes of really administrative character. So lot subdivision without frontage for 2 lots with existing dwellings was removed. There is a clarification that how exactly the 1 lot per year rule in the A1 and S2 zone works. And the old subdivision bylaw for some reason had a prohibition of double fronting lots, so a lot that kind of crosses over from one street to the other. So we didn't really see a rationale for that prohibition, so we removed that. And finally, maybe some of the bigger changes of the bylaw relate to the open space dedication. So as I've mentioned, we heard feedback from municipal staff that there were ways to get around dedicating this open space, either contribution or payment. And therefore, the new bylaw clarifies that exemption is only possible in cases where there's a reconfiguration of lots, so basically moving the property lines without creating new lots. If the proposed lots contain dwellings that were in existence before this bylaw, right? So for instance, if there is a property with 3 homes on it that were all in existence before this bylaw came into effect, and those homes would all receive their own lot, be subdivided into 3 lots, that would be such an exemption where this would be possible. Remainder lots generally will be also required to be considered for the open space dedication. However, if the remainder lot has more than 200% of the minimum lot area, meaning it will likely be subdivided someday in the future, then this remainder lot would be exempt from the dedication requirement in order to avoid double charging of these properties. And if there is an execution of wills from before 2000 or government-driven subdivision, in those cases, there is also no need for this dedication, but those are the only 4 exemptions. There is some added flexibility in the document on the dedication of natural heritage features instead of only and floodplains instead of only fully usable land for recreation purposes. So that allows, for instance, for floodplains or other important natural landscapes to be dedicated, while staff in the past had trouble to do that because of how these requirements were written. And finally, there are priorities on what type of lands and in which location should be, considered as the first priority for public land dedication as part of the subdivision. And it used to be just one set of requirements, but we changed now those requirements, created 2 sets, one for what's happening within growth centers and one outside of growth centers in the countryside, because the character of public land you want to receive as a municipality differs a little bit between these 2 categories. And that covers the presentation of the subdivision bylaw, and I will hand it over to my colleague Evan Teasdale from Design Point to introduce you to the new municipal service system specification.
Perfect. Thank you, Paul.
I would like to note that Councillor Tim Harding has arrived at 6:15. However, it's not permissible that he will be able to vote on this matter when it comes to council because he didn't hear the whole presentation. Go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. So as Paul mentioned earlier, diving into the municipal specifications side of things, the old specs date back to 1997. So almost 30 years ago, which means a lot has changed in terms of design and construction protocols since that time. So we took a deep dive into the municipal specs to bring them mostly up to date with current industry best practices, surrounding municipalities, and just overall update on engineering design and construction methodologies. So this slide, we started with the overall structure of the specifications and really tried to clarify the procedure for how subdivision occurs from concept plan right through to final plan and construction and closeout reports. So that helps to clarify what information is required at what stage, the different roles and responsibilities between the municipality, the developer's engineer, and the contractor with their maintenance bonds. So this really helps to spell out that clear process from start to finish. If we go to the next slide, here we start to see some of the more technical attributes that we've updated. Again, a lot has changed in design protocols since the original specs. And here we kind of focused on some of the high-level entities being the roads. We updated design standards, geometry, plan and profiles, and what road elements are needed. That includes things like walkways and sidewalks and active transportation trails. We also updated the design requirements and construction specs for water and wastewater systems, as well as stormwater management. We updated some meteorological data for design parameters, modeling methods, as well as stormwater balancing for pre and post development hydrologic conditions. And next slide, please, Paul. So this slide gives you a sense of some of the standard details. In 1997, you had 9 typical details, and in 2025, we've got this list plus a few others, almost 50. So it's a lot more detailed in terms of what we want the infrastructure to look like. And that helps to ensure uniformity between developments. Everybody's playing from the same page. It helps to standardize what the municipality sees in terms of their operations. It helps to streamline the approvals process, again, to Paul's earlier point, where the engineers and designers were looking for absolute clarity on what the goalposts were, what the expectations were. These standard details kind of set the foundation for that. They also help to improve construction quality because the detail is very expletive. It shows exactly what the municipality wants to see. It's repeatable and it's standard across the board. And it also helps with enforcement and clarifying requirements on that front. So this updated list of standard details really does set the stage for the design going forward. And Paul. So this is an example of one of the old cross sections, one of the old standard details. This was the only typical road cross section we had to work with. And if we go to the next slide, Paul, you'll see that the new specifications are not a one-size-fits-all approach. We have different roads, different geometry, different width requirements, different infrastructure requirements, depending on the volume of that road. So here we have various different road structures that spell out the geometry, the road gravels, the structure, the infrastructure that's within those right-of-ways. So really try to bring it up to more industry best practices, so to speak. And that was it in a nutshell.
Okay, well, that's great, gentlemen. Thank you very much for your presentation. So I should mention now that for the benefit of the public, that council sits in a quasi-judicial capacity for these public hearings. so it doesn't engage in debate and doesn't argue with the presenters. It is necessary, however, that everyone has a good sense of what's being presented. So we'll go to questions of clarification in case there are any misunderstandings from any part of by any counselor. So I'd ask, is there any counselor that has any questions to the presenters on their presentation? Councillor Gates.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor, to the presenters for tonight. One of the points that I did pick up was the grade for the sewer, not recommending a zero grade. Is there a grade that you are recommending? Like, is it 1% or 1.5%? Just for clarification, please.
Yeah, so typical minimum grades would be in the range of 0.5 to 0.6% slope for sanitary sewers. Now that can vary. For example, if you have a dead end sewer in a cul-de-sac, having that flat pipe may not give you the cleansing velocity. So in those cases, you may need a steeper pipe to make sure we flush the pipe. So that minimum spec of 0.5 may not work in all scenarios, but that's generally our minimum starting point.
Thank you. Councillor Peckford.
Thank you. Through you to the presenter. Just looking for an explanation potentially just on what detailed cost analysis was done to measure how these standards of new sidewalks, curbs, widened cross sections, and higher engineering requirements will potentially impact cost per lot of housing in new subdivisions?
So the cost analysis is really a function. It's so site specific in terms of cut fill analysis of where this infrastructure can and can't go. So we've done a high level analysis in terms of the typical cost per linear meter of road, but we haven't really compared that to the old version necessarily.
Follow up if I may.
Sure.
Thank you. So you don't have any costs on what it might cost for a 40-foot lot of sidewalk and curb compared to the previous designs and specifications?
No, because the geometry is so site specific, that's really hard to do in terms of cut fill analysis. We have some basic cost information for the cross section itself, but the overall design for a 40-foot lot, for example, is going to vary from subdivision to subdivision based on the site specific conditions. If that makes any sense.
Thank you. I can let somebody else go in case there's more questions.
You've got another question? Go ahead.
I've got a few, if I may.
Okay.
Next one, just in other municipalities where you have introduced similar standards and worked with their planning departments, have housing costs and prices gone up or down based on these increased specifications?
Well, certainly housing costs have gone up, but I don't think it's directly comparable to this specifications necessarily.
Perfect. And just one final, if I may. Thank you. You had mentioned that this new specification standards will even the playing field across the county. So when it comes to creation of new roads, obviously we're a rather large county, and the materials that are required for a road in Greenwich are very different compared to Greenwood and Kingston, where it's much sandier. Is there the ability of the developer to have a third-party engineer come in, do a site assessment, geologist, figure out what kind of base they're working with, and change, say, the amount of surge rock they may need to put in place? Because I know it can significantly depend based off the base they're already working with, and that could be the difference of quite a few tens of thousands. And when we're trying to increase affordability, this might be something to look at. So just for a point of clarification, is that in the specification? I didn't quite pick up on it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of alluded to Paul's earlier point, where we've built in more flexibility for the municipal engineer to adjust these standards based on site-specific conditions. You know, for example, if you're building a road on rock, then that subgrade is very different than building on sand, which is why it's difficult to compare costs across the board. But absolutely, the new specs do give the municipal engineer the ability to vary that depending on site-specific conditions. So if you had another geotechnical engineer verify a different road structure, then there is a mechanism for that in these specs.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's a great question, Councilor Beckford. Okay, and now I'll move on. I don't see any other. Did you put your light back on? I'll turn you off again. You had your chance. Anyway, no, just kidding. All right, now I'll turn it over to the members of public. If there's any member of the public that would like to come to the mic and state your name and address, and as a reminder, you would have up to maximum 5 minutes and address your comments to council and not presenters, and it's concerning this matter only. Pardon me?
Forgive me, Mayor, but my hand was raised.
Okay, sorry, Christina. Before I go to the public, we'll go back to Councillor Sappington.
Much appreciated. Thank you so much. Through you, Mayor, I was wondering, there is first off, a typo, 5.3.1, item C for floodplains. And I noticed that because I was wondering, what do we do to perhaps, I feel like it's a bit vague, make sure that we're getting quality land for perhaps recreation and playgrounds, because I do know that the public engagement probably didn't involve a lot of children. And so I feel like when I think of subdivisions, I feel like there should be a priority, especially depending on how big that subdivision is, that there be a playground of some sort. And I feel like that was missing in this document. How do we make sure that that happens is, I guess, my question.
Yeah, Councillor Sappington, to you through the mayor. The main 2 points that define what kind of land is expected to be handed over to the municipality are points 532 and 533. So here, for example, in growth centers, it is mentioned that land should provide public to access and to scenic and culturally significant points of interest, that it ideally should have this connectivity to residential areas, to act kind of as a center point between residential and maybe allowing shortcuts to commercial areas, having this playing a role in the building of a complete community that way, that there's priority for creating recreational value, and that especially lands on the outer edge of growth centers provide recreational value as well as physical separation to reduce land use conflicts. So for instance, in those cases where land is at the edge of a service community, to provide additional buffer between these new subdivisions and agricultural activity, for example. Outside of the growth centers, the priorities are a little different, but generally I think this is good guidance for municipal staff to negotiate which land they would like to see dedicated. Obviously, as far as the detailed design of these sites is concerned, then it is somewhat difficult to find very specific requirements that will fit all the different cases of subdivision across the municipality. That's, I think, in terms of the requirements, mostly what should be a helpful guideline for staff to work with.
Follow up, Mr. Mayor. My concern is that perhaps we would just be given slivers of land that just isn't necessarily recreationally desirable for children per se, and simply passed off as natural paths or walkways. I think that there just isn't enough priority to actually have playgrounds and specific wording for recreational for children.
Yeah, Councillor Sappington, to you through the mayor. There is a minimum requirement that parcels of land handed over to the municipality should contain at least 2,000 square meters, right, or about 21,500 square feet of land. So in most cases, this should be sufficient to place a playground on it. It is up to the municipality how to utilize and design these lands after they have been taken over. I see what you're saying. I guess there is no specifically worded requirement that, for instance, says that they have to have a certain width. However, it is also, like, this is an open space standard with which municipal staff is able to still negotiate with the developer, which part of the land the municipality would take over. And it is mentioned in item B of that open space standard that it should be fully consist of land that is usable by the general public for recreation or active transportation purposes. So yeah, I see your concern that the wording could lean itself towards only being a walkway, but there is also municipal staff that is at the negotiating table and is discussing with the developers what exactly they want to see in land that is being handed over.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other counselor have any questions to the presenter? Or presenters, I guess I should say. No? Okay, so then we'll move on to the members of the public. If there's any member of the public that would like to address council on this matter only, we would ask that you come forward to the mic now. Okay, seeing no members of the public coming forward, I'll ask one last time then, is there any other member of council that have any additional questions of clarification to the presenters? Seeing none, I want to thank you very much to the two presenters for an excellent job, and that there's being no other matters to come before the public hearing. I declare the public hearing adjourned. And I also note for the public's information, these items will be on the agenda for the council meeting directly following this hearing for second reading, and everyone, of course, is welcome to stay. Okay, so now we are in our Tuesday, December the 2nd municipal council meeting. And we have an agenda in front of us, and I would call that roll call, call the meeting to order, and declare that all members of council are present, and that Councillor Harding, thank you for joining us, and Councillor Lutz and Councillor Sappington have joined us virtually. At this time, I will now read the land acknowledgement. The municipality of the County of Kings is in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral, unceded, and current territory of the Mi'kmaq peoples. The municipality of the County of Kings is a neighbor to Annapolis Valley First Nation and Glooscap First Nation, as well as a diverse urban and rural indigenous population. We are all treaty people and commit to upholding the peace and friendship treaties and working towards reconciliation in all areas of the municipality. We have an agenda in front of us, Council. Would somebody like to move the approval of the agenda, please? Moved by Councillor Allen, second by Councillor Hiltz. All those in favor or against, please vote accordingly.
Aye.
And Councillor Sappington, are you voting in favor?
Yes, I think we said it at the same time. Thank you.
Oh, you did at the same time. Okay, well, I only caught one. Thank you. Motion carried unanimously, by the way. All right. At this time, is there any member of council that would like to declare a conflict of interest on any items that we're going to be discussing this evening? Councillor Peckford.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to declare a conflict for item 6D, and I'll be joining the gallery for that.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Harding.
Yeah, I have a conflict with 6A. I cannot vote. Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else? Okay. All right, so we've got those duly noted. We have the minutes of November the 3rd. Did anyone see any errors or omissions in the minutes of November the 3rd, 2025? No? Would somebody like to move the approval of the November the 3rd minutes, please? Moved by Councillor or Deputy Mayor McPherson, second by Councillor Gates. All those in favor or against, please vote accordingly.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, motion carried. All right. Is there any business arising from the minutes of November the 3rd? No. Okay. We'll move on to Planning Committee Advisory Recommendations from November the 12th, 2025, and they're going to be read by Councillor Emily Lutz, Chair of the PAC. The first one, 6A, is adoption of Subdivision By-law, By-law 114, second reading. Councillor Lutz, please.
Thank you, Mayor. The motion reads the Municipal Council gives second reading to the adoption of Bylaw 114, Subdivision Bylaw, as posted on the municipal website as file 25-99. I so move.
Okay, we have a second. Second by Councillor Allen. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by, for or against, vote accordingly.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, motion carried. All right, the next one is 6B, application to rezone 1184 Parkway Drive, PID 55037063, Port Williams, file 25-08. Councillor Lutz.
Thank you, Mayor. The motion reads that Municipal Council give first reading to and hold a public hearing regarding the application to rezone 1184 Parkway Drive, PID 55037063, Port Williams, from the general commercial C1 zone to the light industrial commercial M1 zone as described in Appendix C of the report dated November 12th, 2025. I so move.
Okay, is second by Councillor Gates. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor or against, please vote accordingly.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, motion carried. Now we'll go on to 6C, application to rezone the property at 1025 Sherman Belcher Road, PID 55325-633, Centreville, file 25-12. Councillor Lutz.
Thank you, Mayor. The motion reads that Municipal Council give first reading to and hold a public hearing regarding the application to rezone 1025 Sherman Belcher Road, PID 55325633, Centreville, from the residential 1 unit R1 zone to the residential mixed density R3 zone, as described in Appendix D of the report dated November 12th, 2025. I so move.
Okay, moved and seconded by Deputy Mayor McPherson. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor or against, please vote accordingly.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, motion carried, and the next one is 6D, application to add car wash facilities as permitted use in the rural commercial C4 zone, file 2514. Councillor Lutz.
Thank you, Mayor. And I'll just note that the wording of this motion is, new for this council and is actually a negative, worded in the negative. So I would just note that for council's awareness. The motion is that Municipal Council refuse the application to amend the text of the land use bylaw to add car wash facilities as a permitted use in the rural commercial C4 zone due to the potential for the creation of pollution consistent with policy 5.3.7 subsection C, subsection 4 or 9. I can't remember my Roman numerals, apologies. As described in the report dated November 12th, 2025. I so move.
Okay, and we have a seconder. Councillor Allen. Okay, it's been moved and second. Any further discussion? Deputy Mayor McPherson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. So I'm just looking for some clarification here. My understanding is the issue is wastewater runoff and the fact that it's in a rural zone, and therefore it's not, there's no municipal sewer system or wastewater system. And the issue is that potentially with the volume of wastewater, it could pose an environmental issue in the surrounding community. I'm just wondering, I guess, looking for clarification again on what advice we received during the process of collecting information for this request from the Department of Environment regarding the potential of issues with wastewater runoff.
Okay, who is going to answer that? We have a staff person going to.
Mr. Mayor, if I could, through you to Councillor McPherson, it's Laura Mosier, Manager of Planning Services. Our planner, Alice Jacob, who is away right now, had extensive email conversations with Nova Scotia Environment regarding whether or not there were additional requirements or protections to be integrated into any approved septic system as a result of the use. And they had indicated that there were no specific or additional requirements for a car wash facility over other facilities.
Okay, thank you.
As a follow-up, please.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. So my understanding in the levels of debate on this request is that the significant factor resulting in municipal council receiving a motion to refuse is due to concern of the wastewater runoff. But I'm just hearing from the planner that there are no differences. So once again, I'm still looking for clarification as to why we are recommending a refusal of this. Is it based on the fact that there are concerns over wastewater runoff, yes or no?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor McPherson, yes, that's correct. Sorry, I should have been more clear. As we all know, a car wash washes things off cars, and cars contain motor oil, and they drive on the roads, which also have other, grit, oil, dirt, all sorts of things on them that are not generally present when we look at some of the other uses in the zone. And so staff were consulting with Nova Scotia Environment to determine if there was some way or some requirement in the septic system design to capture those additional contaminants that would otherwise run off, potentially be dissolved in the water and run through the septic system out into the environment without any kind of treatment or any kind of remediation prior to entering the natural ecology, water courses and the like.
Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Hiltz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, I've talked to the applicant. I've talked to a couple local well drillers as well, and I think the applicant has done his homework on this, and I don't know. I'm not. I wouldn't like to just end this here. I think there's a need for that. I think we have to be open for business in the county. And I know often a lot of people have to go to either Coldbrook or I think to the east it would be Wilmot. And and to be honest, I'm not quite comfortable with the way that this is worded.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Councillor Harding.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I did some homework on this myself, and I find that the environment on this setup wants a big filter system put in to capture anything, and a lot of that water is being reused again, that I understand that over and over again. So I don't see any problems with this. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Best.
Yeah, I'm very concerned that the board refused this without, I'd like to have a lot of information, and Councillor Harding, I did some work on it, and the filter system and stuff. We got car dealerships beside it, we got garages beside all this, and the oil and everything up there. I can't see this should be a major problem. Filter system, and yes, there might be a little bit of leaking oil off a car or something, but we get that every time we go to the garage and stuff. So I don't think that we should refuse this application. It'd be nice to have a car wash in that area, and I think the young gentleman that presented this, I think he has done his homework, and he'll put a system in that will clean up all the grease and oil, whatever. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor McPherson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, it's evident to me that there are still outstanding questions around the application and the potential impact and whether or not there is an impact from wastewater runoff. I'm not comfortable personally at this time making a decision on this motion, and I'm just wondering if there's a mechanism or perhaps a need for further study and maybe more clarification on the wastewater component before this is voted on by council.
Director Javert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The issue, certainly council could send it back to staff. That direction would need to be clear from staff's perspective. What we were reporting back to council is the concern that this is not a site-specific request. This is going to permit car washes, so in brand new use, in any property that is currently Zone C4 or in the future Zone C4. So the concern that staff uncovered was that there's not a regulation that environment could point to say that oil receptors shall be installed at a car wash. It would be up to the proponent to do that, and then environment would only commit to a cleanup after the fact, so after somebody's drinking water was already compromised. That was the issue that staff was trying to relay. So sending it back to staff, you'd need to be very clear to us, what is it that you're looking for us to investigate, because we feel that we've done that with environment. They've said there's nothing that they're going to require.
Saying that, Director, is it possible to approve this as a site-specific? So that's not possible.
That's right. So the issue is that there's not a way to add, it's a rural zone, so we don't have a policy to, essentially what you're asking is a development agreement. There's not a policy enabled in our documents to permit a car wash specifically. And the issue that we spoke of at Planning Advisory Committee is the MGA is very specific on what can a development agreement control, and water and wastewater are not within our domain. So there's nothing that we could add to a development agreement that's going to control the issue at hand.
Okay. Deputy Mayor McPherson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, I'm still a little bit confused on this. So I just heard that the Department of Environment said that there were no issues. I believe that's what I heard, that there were no issues. If that's clearly what I heard, then I'm still where I was a few moments ago and not understanding what the issue is around wastewater, if the Department of Environment is in fact saying that they have no issue with it.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor McPherson, the Department of Environment did not say there was no issue. They did not indicate that they had no concerns. All they indicated was that they, as the jurisdiction having authority over the installation of septic systems, do not have specific regulations or requirements that they will enforce in advance of the installation of a car wash, and have indicated that their response would be entirely reactive, as in the environment would already need to be polluted before they took any action. And the biggest concern that staff has, as Director Javrek said, is that is the contamination of a residential or commercial well, for that matter, when petroleum products enter into a drinking water stream, whether that's a public stream or a private stream, that drinking water source is no longer viable at significant cost to any potential affected residents.
Thank you.
I have a question, if you don't mind, Mr. Mayor.
Pardon me?
I have a question, if you don't mind, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, go ahead.
I took the liberty of speaking only because I feel like the hand being raised is being missed. Sorry.
Well, yeah, I can't see you, so.
Exactly. I just didn't want to be rude, and so that's what I was saying. My question is actually in regards to the chemicals that are used to clean the cars. I know there was mention about oil and gas and dirt from the cars themselves, but I was wondering if we know exactly what kind of, I presume they'd be harsh chemicals to clean these cars. And then follow-up question, if the water was to get contaminated, who would be liable for that? Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Sappington, we don't know what kind of cleansers the operators of these car washes use. They could use, I mean, that's really up to them. We don't have the ability to dictate that. As far as we're aware, the province does not have the ability to dictate that. With regard to your question on liability, certainly the car wash operator would be liable, but we would likely have to go to a legal opinion for the municipality's whether they would also be subject to liability for enabling this use.
Get your
I also have a question, if you don't mind, Mayor.
Sure.
Thank you. I actually have two, and they're going to come sort of backwards. So, in an instance where we actually defeated this motion and we were to permit car washes in C4, or I guess in the general sense, should say that car washes were permitted in C4 already. Are we allowed to? So we know that there's limited C4 out there, and that most of the time you're rezoning into C4 to create new C4. Are we permitted to refuse a rezoning based on someone's intended use? So if someone was applying for a rezoning and they were citing specifically they wanted to put a car wash on, as the reason for their rezoning, can we refuse that based on that use?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Lutz. Council can always refuse a rezoning. However, then you get into the situation where the applicant or anyone else could appeal that decision to the Regulatory and Appeals Board, and if they found that the rezoning was not consistent with the policies of the municipal planning strategy, they would overturn council's decision. And where the use is a permitted use in the zone, it is very risky for council to pick and choose which uses in that zone are okay and which are not after the fact.
Okay, thank you. And then my second question is just a procedural one. So should this motion, we've got a motion to refuse on the floor. Should this motion get defeated, would we then need a follow-up motion that would be to accept and with the same wording following?
I would think if we defeat the motion means we approve the recommendation to move forward with the car wash in the C4 zone.
Okay, and I'm just making sure it's not within my zone to come up with another motion as PAC chair.
I will get further clarification from the Director of Planning on that. The question is, if we defeat this motion, are we then approving it?
No. If it is defeated, council could put another motion on the floor to potentially send it to public hearing, give it first reading and send it to public hearing.
I see. Okay. Thank you for
Thank
clarifying
you.
that. That answers your question, Councillor Lutz. So
Yes,
it's,
thank you.
if we approve this tonight, it means we defeat it. But if we turn it down, then someone could make another motion to move it forward to a public hearing, second reading, to get approval. Okay? Clear as mud? All right.
Perfect.
We'll keep on going. Are you done, Councillor Lutz?
I am, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And looking for a light. Okay, Councillor Best.
Thank you. Just a question through your mayor. There's all kinds of people washing trucks and trailers all over Kings County. What do we do with those people? Like there's some truckers got 200 trucks and trailers that they wash somebody's there every day washing them. Do we have any control on that? Just a question.
Anybody have any, can answer that?
Because there's probably 15 people doing it in Kings County.
Director Javert.
I believe the question, through you, Mr. Mayor, you're asking if individuals are washing their vehicles. From our perspective, that's an activity. It's not a use as defined under the planning documents. A car wash as operated as a business is a defined term and a commercial entity. So it really goes to scale and permanency.
Right. I'm talking about these guys that's their business for their life is washing tractor trailers and everything else. That's what I'm talking about.
Like a mobile wash.
Yes.
We don't regulate those. Those are regulated, they're motor vehicles. they're providing a service which is outside of our planning documents.
So isn't this a service?
But it's linked to a parcel of land.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Who's flashing? Councillor Harding.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, just asking for clarification. In C4, you can have laundromats? Is that true?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Harding, yes, that's true.
Okay, because it just brings back years of what happened in Greenwood there years ago when they had a rotten tank there, I guess, and it ruined the water and everything else in the village of Greenwood. So that chemical there was real bad. So
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that was a dry cleaning facility,
Yeah.
not a laundromat. They're different.
okay, thank you. Bye.
And dry cleaning facilities are not permitted in C4.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Who's flashing now? Deputy Mayor McPherson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you. Nova Scotia is more of a rural province than it is urban. I suspect there are car washes all over this problem, and I would be willing to wager a bet that there are car washes in this province in C4 zones. I'm kind of curious, is there any history of contamination anywhere else in the province caused by a car wash in the C4 zone? I think that information would be important. I'm really feeling ill-prepared at this point to make a decision on this because I don't feel I have all of the information that I need. Councillor Harding and Councillor Hiltz both alluded earlier that this applicant had done their homework and have considered all of these potential issues. I'm hearing strongly from staff that there are significant concerns about potential issues with this. I would like to explore more and have more information and kind of like the idea of sending it for a first reading and a public hearing. Thank you.
I think, Deputy Mayor, if this is turned down and it goes to second reading and public hearing, it is possible to get more information. So even if we turn this refusal down, there'll be more to it. It just won't be automatic one way or the other. The automatic is if we pass this refusal, then anyway. So I'm just saying. So there'll be an opportunity for more information if this is turned down. Councillor Hiltz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. What are the nearest waterways to this parcel of land, and like how many houses are around this as well?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Hiltz, this is a text amendment to the land use bylaw, so it's not specifically tied to the property that is prompting the application. So this could occur literally anywhere in the rural area outside of the A1 zone. Any parcel of land is potentially eligible to be rezoned to the C4 regardless of its proximity to a waterway. So, and I would say that that's the case as well with regard to this applicant. Staff have worked fairly closely with this applicant, and it's not necessarily this applicant we would be worried about, but it would be potentially a different applicant that may not have done the same degree of research and homework.
Yes, I understand that, but my question is, in this case, what is the nearest waterway and houses? I went through a land use bylaw text amendment, Laura, many years ago, and I understand that, but my question is, what's the nearest waterway and houses to this particular property?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Hiltz. So there are several houses in this area. It is in South Berwick, so it is a more populated rural area than many across the county. With regard to the waterway, that's something we'd have to report back on.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to see that information.
One quick comment I'll say, my question would be, should this applicant, if he's prepared to do the right thing, be held responsible for what somebody else may do or may not do down the road? Should he not be judged on what he is going to do? That's what my consideration is. That I'm just saying as a comment. Councillor Allen.
Thank you, Mayor. My concern is for this car wash, the volume of water that's likely to go through it, and this car wash is not located where there's a public septic system, like the sewer line. Where would this water go? A private septic bed?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Allen, yes, that's correct. It would go to a private septic system.
And if the septic system's not large enough, it'll create a real problem, correct?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, again to Councillor Allen, the size of the system is not necessarily what is of concern to staff as much as the fact that it's not, there's no specific requirement in the design of the system to address what is flowing through it, essentially. Nova Scotia Environment would see this septic system and the design of it being no different than any other potential use that may not involve chemicals or petroleum products or anything else. There's nothing to address the specific aspect or characteristics of this use and what may be coming off the vehicles that are being washed.
Thank you.
Permission to speak, Mr. Mayor.
Just a second. Did you, something you wanted to add, Director Javert?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wondered if it would be helpful for the members of council to maybe have a Septic System 101 quick recap. The issue that staff were concerned about and are trying to relay is the issue with, it's not the water withdrawal, it's the concern that we've got that there's not a guarantee of oversight from Department of Environment. The way that septic systems are designed out in the rural areas, the water goes into the system, it'll go into the tank, all the water, whatever's in the water, will go directly into the field on that property and flow out into the ground immediately. Like it is flowing. That's where the concern is arising for staff. Properties adjacent, whether that's an agricultural use, whether that's a residential, whether that's another commercial. It's the fact that we've lost control and we're adding a new use that was not previously in that zone.
Thank you. Councillor Gates.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. In making a decision, there are a lot of factors that I haven't heard tonight, and some of the questions that come to my mind are slopes, topography, soil types, and the wells in close proximity to this business. I think before I can weigh in on an educated decision, those are factors that I'd want to say. Is there a distance that water is going to be filtered through various types of soil, whether it's clay, whether it's sand? And is there any steep slopes that the water is going to drain off quickly? And also the wells in the close proximity to this business. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Director Javert.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the councillor. Again, the issue is this is a text amendment. It's not about the property in South Berwick. It's not about an individual site. This is about adding a use to a zone that can be applied anywhere in the rural area other than the A1 zone. It's not about a particular well next door. It's not about a water course next door. It's about what is council's comfort level in adding a use that potentially has an environmentally impact on the adjacent property owners that were not expecting that previously?
Thank you. I'll make a quick just a minute. I think Councillor, I'm sorry, because I didn't, was it Councillor Sappington wanted to make a comment, or Councillor Lutz?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Councillor Sappington.
Okay, Councillor Sappington, go ahead.
Thank you. So Director Javrik, once again, when you talk about the potential of those chemicals running off to neighboring land, I also want to point out that you also said that C4 is usually or can be adjacent to A1 farmland, correct?
Through Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Sappington, the A1 zone is not able to be rezoned, so you know, you could have it next to A1 land, but that is going to be a smaller number of opportunities than in other areas of the rural area.
But again, because we're not talking solely about this particular application, the possibility is there.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Sappington, yes, absolutely, it's there.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to make a comment then. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. I guess we could have a woulda, coulda, shoulda, 1,000 different scenarios there. I will be voting against this, and I realize we need to do our due diligence, but I think we can have it both ways here. I really do. And yes, if we vote for the recommendation, it's gone. That's the easy approach. But if we vote against it, at least it will go to a second reading, and questions like Councillor Gates has can be answered. And if you feel comfortable, I think we need to give the perspective that Kings County is open for business, and we have to, when somebody comes to us with a viable business like this, look at all those opportunities. Now, at the end of the day, if there's not the comfort level that we're doing our due diligence, we still have time to do that. But to just approve this and turn it down without further investigation, I think is totally unfair to not only the applicant, but it gives the wrong impression that, and I think we want to give the impression we're open to business here in Kings County. So for that reason, I will be voting against this recommendation. Anyway, I don't see any other lights on. All right, so the question's being called, and because I've lost track here, do we have a mover and a seconder? And again, if you're approve this, you're turning it down. If you vote against it, you're leaving the door open to go to the next level, and we would need a further motion so that we're clear. Because this is a little bit more complicated than normal, and just matter of fact, the opposite of what we normally do. So we've at this so long now, the poor old mayor's forgot. Do we have a mover and a seconder on this? We do. Okay.
Yes, Mayor, I moved it.
All right. Thank you, Councillor Lutz. And who seconded it? And Councillor Allen did. Okay. So all those in favor or against, please vote accordingly. And again, if you're voting in favor of it, you're turning it down. If you're voting against it, you're leaving the door open for the next level.
No.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You didn't, why? Okay, you're voting for or against? You're against, okay. And Counselor Lutz and Sappington, how did you vote? I'm sorry?
Nay.
You voted,
Nay.
You voted against too? So.
Yes.
Yes.
It looks
Both
like-
no.
It looks like everybody voted against. So the motion has been defeated. Okay. Now, is there anyone wishes to make a motion to move this to second reading? Moved by Deputy Mayor McPherson. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Best. Oh. Director Javert.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, just wanted to clarify, the motion would be to give first reading and send to public hearing.
Sent to, okay. So that the municipal council give first reading to and hold a public hearing related to the amendments to the text of the land use bylaw to add to car wash facilities to the list of permitted uses in rural commercial C4 zone. That was your motion, Councilor Deputy Mayor McPherson? And that's what you second, Councilor Best? Okay. All right. There we go. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, for or against, please vote accordingly.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, the motion is carried. And again, just for further clarification, this doesn't mean this is approved. It just goes to the next level for more information. Okay? So, we shall now move on to, I think, when's your next meeting, Councilor Lutz, for public hearing?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just trying to find it here because now I've scrolled ahead on the agenda. But the next public hearing will be Tuesday, January 6th, 2026 at 6 p.m. in council chambers.
Okay, thank you. All right, so now we'll move on to engineering and public works. And I think that Councilor Tim Harding is declaring a conflict of interest on this one. Oh. Oh, was it? The first one. 7A? All right, and so Municipal Service Systems Specification Manual, well, wasn't that the one that... Subdivision By-law. Oh, okay. Okay, but this one here he can't vote on because he wasn't here in time.
7A he can vote on, he was here in time. Yeah. 6A I couldn't.
Oh, 6A, okay. All right, so a presentation of this manual was provided at the public hearing preceding the council meeting and an opportunity for questions. Are there any further questions? No? All right. So do we have a motion to approve the 2025 manual and to repeal the one from 1997? Moved by Deputy Mayor McPherson, second by Councilor Allen. Any further discussion? Just for clarification, though, I thought Councilor Harding came in at 6:15, halfway through this presentation.
It was the Subdivision By-law, Mr. Mayor, 6A.
Okay, all right, okay, just so I had written his name down beside this one. My mistake. It's okay?
Yes, that's right.
Well,
You're doing a great job.
It's pretty good, 72 years in first one. You don't believe that, do you, Director Javert? All right, all those, oh, wait a minute, we got, Councillor Peckford would like to speak.
Thank you, Mayor. Just like to make a point on this quickly before the vote. I'm concerned about the potential cost increase to new housing starts within our county because of this. I did gather some numbers prior to this meeting, and for your average 40 to 60 foot lot within Kings County, depending on the direction that council and staff give, you might increase the costs of each one of these lots by upwards of $20,000 to $30,000. I know council voted when we first started to try and bring down the cost of housing within this county. I'm worried that this new specification, while there are many great parts to it, has the chance to increase the cost of housing. So I will not be voting in favor of this.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have any comments on this? No. Okay, so the recommendation is that municipal council approve the updated 2025 municipal service system specification manual in accordance with section 328 1 Municipal Government Act as attached to the December the 2nd 2025 council agenda, and hereby repeal the municipal specifications of 1997. Do we have a mover and a seconder? We already have it? Man, Councillor Best for further discussion.
Yes, I'm very concerned when I just heard from Mr. Peckford. Did anybody tell me that it's going to be another 20 or 30,000 if we okay this time? Did anybody tell me that? Housing is expensive now. We put another 20,000, 30,000 on a house. It's going to be, that's big. That's huge in my opinion.
Okay, do we have somebody that wants to try to answer that question?
Can I make a suggestion that we refer this until I get my answer? Because that's huge in my opinion.
Just a minute, with Director Javrick is.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'm not sure that staff would be able to calculate that number. What I can say is that these specs will bring us in line with pretty much every other municipal unit in the province, and certainly all the ones that surround us. These are bringing our very outdated standards to the standard practice of the province.
Thank you. Okay, so Councillor Peckford.
Thank you, through you, just for a point of clarification for Councillor Best. This number was gathered by getting quotes from different contractors throughout the valley who do work such as road work, concrete works, so they were providing me with cost estimates to meet these current standards. I think my issue with this spec is solely based on these additions. There are many great parts to this, and in speaking to different engineers as well, they've commended the county on some of the changes as added clarification when it comes to new road construction. However, I don't agree that we want to be necessarily on par with other municipalities if it just relates to us having an increased cost in housing. We need to be watching how we can help young families get into the housing market, and if this is potentially going to add another hurdle, I can't support it. I would be in favor of potentially reviewing this specification and having that repealed from this.
Thank you. Councillor Gates.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. One quick thing that jumps out to me is the request to go from 120% to 150% of a bond and to go from 1 year to a 2 year. Is that you're tying up that money for a developer for 2 years. It's going to cost interest to the developer, so it's got to have a negative connotation. Personally, I would like to see if you've got 120% of a bond up front for a year, that should suffice. I'm not sure I understand why the need to go to a 2-year to 150%. Can somebody perhaps answer that for me?
Director Kerrigan.
Thank you. I don't know if I can speak specifically other than the cost volatility that will change. That bonding is for uncompleted works. So with that, prices can go up more than 20% potentially in a year, depending what it's for. It could be asphalt, could be concrete, depending on the time of year that work is done. In the specifications, we also have made changes to a new system that I can allude to, which is like a 2-lift asphalt system. So the work that's being done in 1 year is not necessarily going to be completed immediately. It's going to be work that's completed for as an example, first lift of asphalt, and that we have to hold the money available until the second lift is done, in case the owner was to walk away from the project and we needed to complete it ourselves. Don't know if that explains the part of what you're looking at, but did my best.
Thank you. Any further debate? Well, I'll make a comment. I know I don't, or we don't always support the staff or the expert's opinion, but I do respect Councillor Peckford, and he's also in the development business, but we have hired these gentlemen who are so-called experts in their field, and our staff are saying this brings us up to date. So I will be supporting their recommendation, because I would think that they have looked into this, and one of the things in the many excellent questions that you asked Councillor Peckford of the presenters is their flexibility, and they clearly said that there was flexibility, not only here, there, and everywhere. And so to me, the goal here is not to make it more difficult and more expensive to developers, but it is to bring the county up to date and put us in 2025 from 1997. So I'm sort of going to look at that. But anyway, Councillor Kerrigan, you have another comment?
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not quite councillor, just a director.
Yeah, all right. No, you're right. You're a director.
And I'm certainly not here to debate this. I just wanted to add in, to reinforce some of the reason for the updated the update to the specification is the quality of the product that we're going to get at the end of the day. We've been between 25 and 30 years of using the 1997 spec. Weather conditions, storm drainage are not what they were in 1997. And when you look at these new specifications, they allow for stormwater. Stormwater is typically in design. Councillor Peckford is 100% right. Those systems are designed in concrete, and concrete costs more than gravel shoulders. But to have these developments built and for proper stormwater, to protect your roads, I understand there's a lot of concern with the quality of roads in the municipality. And these standards are only going to help those quality of standards so that the roads last longer, are going to be in better condition. The 2-lift asphalt, the same sort of thing, so that there's a better product on the street for all of the residents. And that's why we believe in bringing this up to standards that are used throughout the province.
Thank you, Councillor Director Kerrigan. Councillor Peckford.
Thank you. Through you, I think we got a little off topic on my point. It was not about the engineering specs for the road itself. It was about the concrete sidewalk, concrete curb and gutters that are being added there. And to your point as well, Mayor, I did ask that question, and the flexibility was pertaining to surge rock and the road construction itself. And I was glad to hear that they have put in place the ability to be flexible with that in dealing with the director of engineering, which is fantastic. That has nothing to do with the sidewalks as well, as I did ask them about that, and they ran no cost analysis on this. So in order for us to sit here and implement something that has such a drastic effect on the public as a whole, because contrary to popular belief, the developer will not pay for this. They will just download it to the end user. So that is my fear, is that we're just downloading these costs to the end user who are our residents. So I'm all for the engineering specs that they've changed. Are there parts that might add more costs? Absolutely. But if it's a better product that in the long run we don't have to spend more to fix, I'm all for that. My issue is just in mostly those sidewalks and curbs. I mean, if the general public is okay with having that cost increase and want to have a meeting on their street and say, yes, we want that and we're okay with it, and the increase in taxes, that's a different conversation. But off the get-go on new housing construction, to have that cost implemented, I can't vote in favor of. So that's why I won't be voting for this.
Thank you. Director Javert.
Thank you, Mayor. Just hoping to clarify, the municipal specs, the new specs are only requiring sidewalks on new commercial streets. So currently the specs are not requiring residential streets to install sidewalks. The new specs are requiring new developers to design the streets and prep the street for a sidewalk. Sidewalks are very complicated because they might be us, they might be a village. It's not always clear who is going to do the sidewalk or if we want a sidewalk. So that's all part of the flexibility that we've built into the new specs.
Thank you. Okay, Councillor Lutz or Councillor Sappington, I can't see you, so I don't know. I haven't heard anything, so I presume.
I'll just stick my hand up, if that's okay.
Sure.
Just quickly, I'll say that, you know, having been lucky enough to be the chair of PAC and getting the presentation we received at the public hearing twice, I will say I am comfortable with this new approach towards subdivisions and to getting high quality, modern, efficient standards. And I do appreciate the work that Councillor Peckford's done and the experience he has in this area, absolutely. But I am, like, despite those things, pretty comfortable with moving ahead with the things as they are. So I'll be voting in favor. Thank you.
Okay. All right, I don't see any other lights on, so I'm going to move forward. All those in favor or against, please vote accordingly.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. 6-4, motion carried. Okay, we shall now move on to wastewater screening buildings, supplemental budget. Director Kerrigan is going to be presenting. We'll be calling a recess after this presentation, by the way.
Thank you very much. I'm here today for the purpose for Municipal Council to consider approval of a supplemental budget for the execution of publicly tendered construction contract for the wastewater screening facilities that we've been talking about for both the Aylesford and Hants Border wastewater treatment plants. I can sit there and progress it if you want. I can't get that to change on the screen. Okay. Thank you. For discussion, in September 2025, engineering staff released a new public tender event for new screening facilities for both Aylesford and Hants Border. The need for the screening facilities is to remove non-organic materials, so wipes, plastics, and anything else that may be flushed from the wastewater treatment system before entering the lagoon treatment system. Just to give everybody an idea of what this looks like, obviously this is not up here for everybody to study, but what you can see on the screen is the cross-section of a typical building that we had designed. This is the proposed screen building layout. This is directly from the tender package, drawing P01, where you can see the building. There is I don't think you can see a cursor here, but there's a screen on the left image. You can see the actual auger screen that sits inside a tank to remove the materials. The influent goes into that tank. The materials are screened out, go into a bin that will be disposed of, and the cleaned water, wastewater, will then be transported into the lagoon system. Proponents were evaluated to determine best overall value for recommendation. Technical plus submitted pricing gives us our best overall value, so what we're looking at is best overall value. The proponents submitted pricing. In this case, all the proponents submitted pricing which exceeded the allocated capital budget. That's why we're here today for the supplemental budget approval. So summary of ignore winter services. This is did not get caught on a revision. So this is the summary of the screening services or screening buildings. The lowest bid contract cost was $2,705,841.21. The existing construction budget is $2.05 million, leaving a construction cost overage of $745,841.21. These values are inclusive of non-refundable HST. If approved, the overage will be funded from existing debt capacity, and the market information gained from this, if so approved, will be utilized to modify our 2026-27 capital budget for remaining screening facilities, as we have at least another 3 screening facilities that are planned for 2026, those being in Aldershot, Avonport, and Waterville. So recommendations on the screen. I'd be happy to address any questions.
Okay. Any questions to the director on his recommendation before we go to approval? So, who is flashing first? Councillor Gates. Questions to the director?
Thank you. Just for clarification, through you, Mr. Mayor, can you give us an idea of how many bids for the contracts were submitted?
There were 2 bids in this case.
2. Thank you.
And Councillor Allen.
Thank you, Mayor. Through you to Director Kerrigan. If this is successful, we vote in favor of this. When would these be up and operational? Do we know?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, construction would start almost immediately. I know the contractors are trying to do everything they can before true winter hits, which I guess hit us today.
Hopefully they'd be operating before the odor season in the spring. Is that correct?
More than likely construction would happen through the winter. And things would be screened out. It may not affect the odor issues, but it would remove those wipes and plastics and things like that, which are only going to help the system. It's not the systems are not meant to remove the biosolids. It's the inorganic materials.
Right. You would prevent them from clogging up.
Correct. Correct.
Thanks.
So in theory, yes, through you, Mr. Mayor, systems should operate better. Realistically, I would say mid to late summer. We're hoping that these would be, by September next year, be operational.
Very good, thank you.
Councillor Best.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just starting projects this time of year is always at least 30% higher. Why would we wait till spring to start this? Just a question. I mean, this tender, another 3 or 4 months shouldn't probably make a difference.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the contractors, this is winter work for them. They would try and do the piping and get the foundation in before the end of the month, and then be able to work on the interior of these buildings through the winter. So it's not true winter work where they're working outdoors. They would try and get the foundation in and get the building erected to work on this through the winter. And they, from what I understand in my experience for these contractors, no different than the water treatment plant for construction, very same thing. They try and get it to a point before the heavy frost sets in the ground so that they can work inside the building, because they can't do other outside piping work this time through the winter season, but they can do inside building work, and that's what this is a structure.
I guess I'll have to agree with you, but I disagree with you. I wouldn't start any big projects in the wintertime, I'll guarantee you.
Councillor Best, this is not you get to disagree. That's during debate. If you asked the question, he answered your question. You may not like the answer. You're entitled to that. But if during the debate you can
Not really a debate. I didn't debate. I just know for experience that the wintertime is expensive. I know it is.
You are arguing with the staff, and it's not permissible.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I would like to also add to this for everybody, including, might help Councillor Best, understand this as well. This is a time-sensitive project because it is funded. These two facilities are funded with ICIP dollars, and it is time-sensitive to the project. Actually had a deadline of I believe 2025, and we had it extended to March 2026, and we'll be looking for, we've been talking with them and we are granted the extension, but there's a lot of projects that we are trying to get done all before I'll say end of calendar year 2026, including these two buildings as well as other sewer related projects.
Councillor Best.
If I had that information, I'd never asked that question. Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, my apologies for not putting that in the presentation.
Okay. All right. So, any other questions to the director? Do we have someone that is prepared to make the motion that Municipal Council approve a supplemental budget with incremental expenditures totaling $800,000 for capital project 08-3409-Municipal STP Infrastructure Renewal GL 21-3-382-102 to be financed through the use of long-term debt previously assigned to other screening projects. Do we have a mover? Moved by Councillor Allen, second by Councillor Harding. Any further discussion? All those in favor or against, please vote accordingly.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. Thank you, Director Kerrigan. Okay, at this time, I'm going to call a 10-minute recess. CAO Scott Conrad is presenting. Mr. Conrad.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Fairly short presentation. There's only 5 slides here. The intent is on the screen is to clarify the bylaw applying to actively occupied residential properties and to inform council that the interest language described during the first reading has been included in the bylaw. So as you may recall, this bylaw is enabled under the Municipal Government Act. The intent is to address people that are having well water problems through provision of a loan. Last council asked the CAO to consider including agriculturally assessed properties in the bylaw. So we reviewed the legislation, we reviewed Hansard debates, which is sort of the lead up to the intent of the legislation, descriptions from the House, and similar municipal bylaws, and our conclusion was that bylaws apply only to water supply loans for actively occupied residential properties. The updated language, we communicated during the first reading that it would be regarding interest rates to be charged has been included in the appended bylaw. So you can remember we talked about the interest that we earn on our investments would be the same interest that would be charged on the loan. So our recommendation for you to consider here this evening is to proceed with second reading of bylaw 115, respecting charges for the improvement of water supply.
Okay, thank you. Any questions to the CAO? Seeing no lights on, we have a mover and a move by Councillor Gates, second by Councillor Hiltz. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor or against, please vote accordingly.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. We'll move on now to inspections and enforcement. Hazard materials response team update. The briefing is included in the agenda package. For information, Terry Brown, Manager of Inspections and Enforcement, is available here for any questions. Is there any member of council that has any questions to Mr. Brown on his agenda package? Councillor Gates.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick question, Terry. With some of the, or at least some of the parties opting to go out, that doesn't have any negative effects for the rest, does it?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Gates. Not at this point in time. So what has transpired is that the hazmat team, which consists of members from Wolfville Fire Department, New Minas Fire Department, and Kentville, have given notice that as of December 19th, they'll no longer provide the service of what's referred to as level A hazmat responses. So the higher end where technicians are, qualified technicians are responsible for assisting with that service. But the team will, as far as we understand, will stay together to provide what's referred to as level B within the municipality of the county of Kings, including the towns of Wolfville, Kentville, Berwick. If that answers your question.
Okay. Any other questions? No? Okay, thank you, Mr. Brown. So we have a recommendation that the Municipal Council receive for information the briefing pertaining to November 19th, 2025 letter regarding hazmat services as attached to the December the 2nd, 2025 council agenda. Do we have a mover, please? Moved by Deputy Mayor McPherson, second by Councillor Hiltz. All those in favor or against, please vote accordingly.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, motion carried. We'll move on then to Committee of the Whole recommendations. The recommendations are included in the package. So we have a strategic plan 25, 2029. Do we have a motion to approve the strategic plan? Moved by Councillor Allen, second by Councillor Peckford. Is there any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor or against, please vote accordingly.
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. We'll move on to renaming section of Waterville Mountain Road to Gristmill Court. Motion to approve the renaming. Moved by Councillor Allen, second by Councillor Best. Any further discussion? Are you sure? We could change it, right? With lawyers over there, Terry, we could change that right now, couldn't we? Yeah. You're checking out like the rest of them now. All those in favor, all those in favor or against, please vote accordingly.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carried. Thank you. Infill distance in A1 zone. Motion to direct the CAO to prepare a report. That the Municipal Council direct Chief Administrative Officer to prepare a request for a decision on the impacts of Council considering increasing the infill distance in municipal planning strategy and land use bylaw in the agriculture A1 zone from 300 to 500 feet. Do we have a mover, please? Moved by Deputy Mayor McPherson, second by Councillor Gates. Any further discussion? No? Okay. All those in favor signify, or all those in favor or against, please vote accordingly. I did that for 25 years. It's hard to stop.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carried. Very good. Strong Cities Network 6 Global Summit. Motion to direct the mayor to endorse the declaration. The Municipal Council direct the mayor to endorse Strong Cities Toronto Declaration for Strong Cities Network 6 Global Summit. Do we have a mover? Moved by Councillor Gates, second by Councillor Harding. Any further discussion? Councillor Hiltz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, I've done some research on this Strong Cities, and I just want to read something from their website. In 2023, the city launched Toronto for All, a public education initiative that brings residents together to challenge and eliminate systemic discrimination through awareness campaigns, dialogue, community collaboration. Each campaign focuses on a specific issue: anti-black racism, Islamophobia, anti-Indigenous discrimination, transphobia, and more. There's nothing in there about Christianophobia. There's nothing in there about anti-Semitism. And this is about balance to me. This isn't about taking sides. I am very concerned that Olivia Chow, the mayor, raised the Palestinian flag. Just for the record, I wouldn't be in support of raising an Israeli flag either. But the reason it's important, because in the city of Toronto right now, 4% of the population are Jewish. Anti-Semitism makes up 61% of all mischief-related hate crimes and 33% of all hate crimes overall. 443 hate crimes reported in 2024, 177 or 40% targeted the Jewish community. 46% of hate crimes were religion motivated. And of those, 81% were anti-Jewish. For those reasons, I'm not going to support this. I believe in balance, and I'm not going to get too into, the political, the genocide. from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. But there seems to be a very imbalance with this, and it's very concerning to me. Toronto was a strong city years and years ago. I believe the law has to be enforced, and I think a blind eye is turned with certain groups. And like I say, it's not about me taking sides, but I believe that is wrong. And I believe, just for the record, that flags to be flown should be the provincial flag and the national flag of Canada that we all unite under. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Permission to speak, please.
Yes, Councillor Sappington.
I just wanted to say that Toronto is just the venue of the Global Summit, and I do appreciate Councillor Hiltz's thoughts on it. But I just wanted to say that it wasn't sponsored by Toronto. It's just that is the venue, and literally people are coming from all over the globe. It's a global summit, and it is really about. And I've found the classes very informative. The sort of hate rhetoric that we have encountered and the death threats that we've encountered as a council, I've learned that it is not just specific to our council. It is happening literally all over the globe, and it has become a threat to democracy. And so it is that sentiment, and that's why the summit is occurring, is to try to navigate this current situation that a lot of municipalities, dare I say majority of municipalities, are having to deal with right now. Thank you.
One question, Councillor Sappington, is it not possible that if, and I'm sure he is, Councillor Hiltz is correct, maybe there's a couple of groups that have not been included. That doesn't mean that that they could not be included down the road. Is that correct? I mean, it's a situation that they probably are trying to do the right thing, and if they've overlooked somebody that should be, is it possible, in your opinion, that they could add those people that Councillor Hiltz has suggested that needs to be there also down the road?
I can't speak on behalf of that, but what I can say is that the sentiment from all the different municipal leaders that I'm speaking with in regards to councillors and mayors, and there's governors, and I think that the whole premise is for us to be fighting against hate in every regard.
Okay, thank you. Councillor
Thank you.
Hiltz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, who's paying for this summit?
So I have been given sponsorship. Actually, it's been provided by the federal government. I wouldn't have volunteered. The reason why I volunteered was because I was assured that it would be at no cost to the municipality. I applied through the Nova Scotia Federation of Municipalities to represent NSFM. However, I felt like it was a wonderful opportunity since I'm going to represent the municipality of the County of Kings. And so there's no requirement for you to sign it. I just thought it would be a wonderful opportunity for us to be represented.
Thank you. And no cost to the municipality.
Thank you.
Good question, though. Okay, so the municipality, the motion is to direct the mayor to endorse Strong Cities Toronto declaration, for the Strong Cities Network 6 Global Summit. Do we have a mover?
We already did that.
Oh, we already did that? Been a long night. All right, just got to vote. Thank you, Councillor Harding. All right, all those in favor or against, please vote accordingly.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, looks like she's passed. Motion carried. So we'll move on to the nominating committee. The recommendations are included in the agenda package, and they are as follows. That there is one change. to the list of recommended counselor appointments. Counselor Allen is being recommended to be appointed, was recommended to be appointed to both the Landscape of Grand Prairie Board and Members Group. However, their bylaw does not allow for the same counselor to be appointed, and the recommendation is to appoint Counselor Allen to the Members Group, and Counselor Gates has agreed to go to the board. So we need a motion to approve the list of appointments with that change, with Counselor Gates being appointed to the Landscape of Grand Prairie Members Group, please. Moved by Deputy Mayor McPherson, second by Counselor Peckford. Any further discussion? Okay. So the motion is in front of you. All those in favor or against, please vote accordingly. Pardon me?
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
It's not like you're going to get an extra big pay there, Counselor Gates. I know that's what you were looking for, but yeah, well, you have to talk to the new deputy mayor. The old one used to bring them in. Motion carried. I'm just saying. He's on a counselor pay now, so he only brings his own cookies. All right, citizens' appointment to the Audit and Finance Committee. Motion to reappoint the two current citizen members. So the Municipal Council reappoint Logan Morris and David Crabb to the Audit and Finance Committee effective December 2nd, 2025 for a one-year term ending November 3rd, 2026. Moved by Councillor McPherson, second by Councillor, Deputy Mayor McPherson, second by Councillor Peckford. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please. Or
Aye.
no, motion, vote accordingly, and of course the ladies in the virtually can vote yea or nay. How's that?
Yay. You can blame us, Mayor. It's okay.
Oh,
We're
I know.
confusing
Yay!
Must be the storm. I voted in favor. Motion carried. Thank you. All right. Citizens' appointments to the advisory, let's see, appointment to the Planning Advisory Committee. That Municipal Council, am I reading double? Okay. Yeah, I seen Logan Morris, I said, oh. The Municipal Council reappoint Logan Morris and Kate Friars to the Planning Advisory Committee effective December 2nd, 2025 for a two-year term ending November 30th, 2025. Do we have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Harding, second by Councillor Gates. Councillor Best, do you have a...
Just a comment, Mr. Mayor. Do we put this out to anybody can apply for it? Is that how we do this?
Absolutely, yep.
Okay, thank you.
All those in favor or against, please vote accordingly.
Aye.
Aye.
In fact, this year, Councillor Best, we had trouble getting enough people to fill our committees. Yeah. Motion carried. Thank you. I'm not necessarily that one, but I know that we had to quote again. Okay, so citizen appointments to the Police Advisory Board. That the Municipal Council reappoint Mike Schroeder and appoint Jeff Varley to the Police Advisory Board effective December 2nd, 2025 for a two-year term ending November 30th, 2027, conditional on interviews and criminal record and background checks. Do we have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Gates, second by Councillor Peckford. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor or against, please vote accordingly.
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carried. Thank you. Okay. Board and committee reports. What's going on?
I know. See, I looks different. E looks different. Oh. Okay.
Okay, motion carried, and we'll move on to board and committee reports. Diversity Committee, the report was submitted by Councillor Sappington. Do you have anything to add to your report, Councillor Sappington?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, is there any questions to Councillor Sappington? No? Okay, do we have, we're gonna probably, let's see. Are we approving them separately, Yanni, or? Yeah. Thank you, that's what. Landscape Grand Prix Board. This report was submitted by also Councillor Sappington. Do you have anything to add to that report, Councillor?
Nope, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions to Councillor? All right, we'll move on to Valley Regional Services Board. Is there any questions to me on my report? No. All right, we'll move on to committees of council. Are there any verbal reports from committees of council? Councillor Harding.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we started out to have a regional sewer meeting on November 27th, and we didn't have quorum for it, so we're holding it over until January 15th, 2026. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so that's it. So, external boards and committees. Is there any reports from any other external boards and committees? No?
I have a couple, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, go for it.
Just quickly, I know it's been a long night. The Nova Scotia Federation of Municipalities, I've had the honor of being appointed onto the executive committee. And also the Nova Scotia Association of Police Governance. Just wanted to let you know that the Department of Justice is allowing the Nova Scotia Association of Police Governments to have a bi-weekly update as we navigate through the suggested provincial policing changes. And that's open for anyone on the Police Advisory Board to attend.
Okay. Any questions to Councillor Sappington on those reports? No? Is that it? Okay.
That's it.
All right. We have a motion to approve those reports, please. Moved by Councillor Gates, second by somebody. Councillor Hiltz, thank you. All those in favor or against, please vote accordingly.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. Okay, at this time, we're introduce the comments from the public. So if there's any member of public that would like to address council, would be time for them to come to the podium. We'd ask the speaker to state their name for the record and note that it's a time limit of 2 minutes. So at this time, good evening.
Good evening, people. My name is Clayton Daphne. I'm a retired plumber, advocate for people with disability. One of my concerns is our educational system. Currently, there are 6 NSCC campuses in Nova Scotia that teach a plumbing course. Accessibility is not part of the plumbing course. So we have no one coming out of the apprenticeship program with any knowledge of accessibility. So our workforce doesn't have anyone. So I'm kind of concerned with this new sports complex. How are we going to hire tradesmen when we don't have it in our educational system? 3 words: education, code, enforcement. Another concern I have, it's a sensitive one, in the village of Kingston, in their arena, they have what's called a macerating toilet. What that is a toilet that pumps up the material into the sewer. In this application, the macerating toilet is connected to the drain line of the food court, which is subject to stoppages. So if someone should happen to flush the toilet, the drain's plugged, it comes up in the prep sink. Not really what I call a sanitary condition, not a healthy condition. We have the steer barbecue, we have a parade, we have air cadets. I don't know if many of the parents would want their children having food coming out of that food court. Mr. Stone has been there, has seen it. He claims that they tell him it's not being used. What's not being used? The washroom or the food court? And I mean, if we could just maybe have it shut down, removed. In the National Plumbing Code, it states, you shall not use a macerating toilet if you have access to a gravity drainage system. That's in the National Plumbing Code.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Daphne.
You're welcome, people.
Appreciate you bringing those to our attention.
Well, I hope we can address them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, people.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Sam Field again. Hi. Robbie, out working, listening to your presentation tonight, you had questions in regard about strong cities. I appreciate you looking in and having question about such things. As I've addressed you guys, ISO certifications, sustainable rural development, our REN, our Valley REM, as I've learned recently, Emily is quite involved with it. What I ask you, my time is short, I know, keep looking into this. The same organizations, they are global. They are steering us in a certain direction, whether it's centralized digital currency, whether it's the surveillance, whether it is, as I stated clearly before, they are steering our municipality to find a global standard. Now, I have property in British Columbia, Prince Edward Island. My mother and father reside in Ontario. It is very similar. You guys may not see it here. Now, I have invested my time to look at these municipal groups abroad, and I know it's very hard to think that it isn't a carbon copy agenda, but I believe it is. And the money that is crippling all of our little beautiful Canadian municipalities, towns, cities, and the people, because we are all going broke, and because it's because of wasteful spending to stay current with these certain agendas. Now, if we choose to keep turning a blind eye to it and lying to the constituents who have put you in place, that is where you guys are really going to have a hard time sleeping at night. And yeah, I'm going to cut it close, but I am open to any questions. I've offered conversation with you at my facility. That is open to all of you. I would love to educate you more on how I feel we are being manipulated to coexist in agendas, and it is directly unfortunately a racist direction. They are segregating us, they are dividing us, and that is not what Canada is. We are very multicultural, and please do not allow that outside wedge to come into what we need to do to stay us.
Thank you.
Cheers.
And I thank you and Mr. Daphne for coming in this evening, and wish you a safe drive home. Okay, so we will be moving into a closed session, but we will not be coming back out into regular council meeting. So I would like to move a motion into a in-camera or closed session at this time. Moved by Councillor Gates, second by Councillor Best. All those in favor or against, please vote accordingly.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right, going to have to ask you to leave now, Mr. Daphne. Thank you very much. You're going? We'll get the big guy after you there. Oh. Anyway, I just want to remind council that we're now back into a